video is going to be an unboxing video. I just got this package today from Jackson's Art Supplies. I'm gonna tell you more about it in a second. Just to clarify, if I have a chance, I purchase my art supplies from local art supply stores or e-shops from Slovakia. Sadly, we are a small country and there is like a very small market for watercolor artists. I have real trouble getting certain products here, so if I have to order anything that I can't get locally, then I usually go for Jackson's Art Supplies. Every 2 months maybe I make an order. I try to like save up for it, and lately I've been mentioning my patrons in like every single video, but I have to do that again because yeah, this channel is still very small. We don't have sponsorships, and basically Patreon is how I can afford to purchase extra art supplies to test out, to review and stuff. Thank you very much, all my patrons, again for supporting me and for learning watercolor with me in there, because there's some real-time tutorials and like special behind-the-scenes videos that I have available for you over there. Let's unbox this package. Okay, I'm a very bad unboxer. Is that a word? Because I already opened it at home, and that is just to get the invoice out. Probably like every artist is slightly challenged when it comes to paperwork. I try to keep my eye on having my documents in order, so that needed to go to a special box that I have at home for all the documents and invoices. I just ripped the invoice from the box, but I didn't unpack the goodies, so let's do that. This entire order, however small it is, it was inspired by the sale that Jackson's had last month in May. It was Winsor & Newton sale, and all the products that are here, it's not a lot, but it's like some things that I think I missed in my watercolor collection. And I also wanted to test out by the brand Winsor & Newton, and all are like professional watercolor products. You guessed, it's watercolors, and I also got 2 brushes. Yay! Like when I order brushes online, the pictures and the actual product in my hand, there's always a gap between my expectation of the product and how the product actually feels. So these are 2 Winsor & Newton brushes. Let's unpack it in a second. I just need to get rid of the ugly box. Yeah, that goes somewhere to the recycled bin though. And these are all professional watercolors, and I only got 5ml tubes because I think it's a waste if you don't know if the color is gonna get used to purchase any like larger tubes. And if you are a watercolorist or thinking of trying watercolors and you have been eyeing some materials, try not to get 15ml tubes at start. 5ml is just enough. There is a chance that 15ml tubes are gonna get wasted. Tubes, actually, sometimes the caps are a little hard to put on properly and the paint dries, especially if it's like over a long period of time. So that happened to me quite sometimes, and then I thought like, why didn't I get a rather smaller tube and then a larger one? And even with the watercolors that I use a lot in my paintings, 5ml can last me a really long time, and I paint very often. Yay! This is aqua green. We're gonna swatch all these colors in this video and check out the brushes, so that's my plan. I'm not gonna paint a thing, but I'm gonna do the next painting with these, but today is just gonna be like eyeing them out a little and checking how they look on a page. So let's check the next. Yeah, I got some of my favorite colors, but I also got colors that Winsor & Newton brand only has in their range. They might be similar than some colors, but this is like Winsor Violet. I've seen some artists use them a lot. Okay, indigo, it's my favorite. I use the Schminky indigo, and Prussian blue as well from Schminky. That's what I'm used to, so I just want to try these and compare maybe. Permanent subgreen, cobalt green deep, and what else? Oh yes, Payne's Gray. Why did I get this? Why did I get this? I have the tube. I still didn't use it. I don't know what I was thinking. I have a larger tube of that one. Olive green, that's of course. Gold ochre, yeah, I think that's I meant it as a replacement for raw sienna, something that I could mix skin tones with. This is neutral tint. I never tried the one by Winsor Newton. This is Winsor blue and Winsor red, and that's all the range that I got. This order with the sale, I think it was less than 100 euros, even with the brushes. I want to check the brushes. I don't remember the exact amount. Forgive me. Oh yeah. They're tied together. I remember getting brushes that were synthetic. Yeah, synthetic sable, both of them. Pointed round brush and a rigger brush. I didn't want to get any more sable brushes. I have some sable brushes in my collection from when I started to paint, and I want to try to make the best use of the synthetic brushes because, yeah, you know, probably more sustainable than sable brushes. I'm gonna remove these because these things, they can get annoying. And I think this is plastic, which is great because a long time ago I had Winsor & Newton brushes and they were the wooden ones. I think they were sable actually, and the wood got cracked up and it was really uncomfortable to use after a while. But I do like the shape of the Winsor & Newton brush. It's like ergonomic. It makes it easier to hold in your hand, and it's not just like a wand. And this is very comfortable, the grip. I don't think we're gonna need this. It might be a little uncomfortable to swatch with this type of brush, but we'll try. I'm not gonna need my regular brushes. I'm gonna try to handle this with just the Winsor & Newton, but I'm gonna need my pencil to at least like write what's the name of the paint. By the way, I have a large collection of watercolor because I've been building it for several years, and it's mostly filled with Daniel Smith and Schmincke paints. I do have 3 paints in it that I wouldn't change for the world, and they are Winsor & Newton Professional. I got the paints that I'm certain that I'm going to use up, like all of it. I don't want it to come to waste. And this is my Strathmore visual journal that was sent to me by the company actually. I made swatches in it. The journal has such a great paper that it's definitely very suitable for studies, and it's not just like for swatching. But for now, I have so many sketchbooks right now that it's been difficult to paint here, so for now these are just swatches that I'm gonna continue using. Here are gonna be the Winsor & Newton paints. They're gonna sit tight in this spot. Let's start with those that are light, because then my water is gonna get dirty. I have 2 jars though. This one is Winsor Violet. It looks very different on the paint itself than it does on a page. Yeah, very different paint than what you see here. This is sort of pastel, and this looks very similar to the purple, Garbazol purple that I have from, I think, Schmincke. But I wanted to try this one. Okay, when you water it down, then it gets similar, but this is a very pastel shade. Oh no, from DS. I have the Carbazol Violet from Daniel Smith, and then in shade, it looks very similar, almost like identical. PV23, and this is PV23, so it's basically the same pigment. Let's try another one. This was not the lightest paint. Let's try the gold ochre and the Winsor red next. This is the gold ochre. Oh, the brush is very sharp. It's more like an orange tone than a resemblance to the quinacridone gold that I use. The resembles to me Indian yellow more than the queen gold. The Winsor red. You don't often catch the professional watercolors to be dull. Professional watercolors from the brands that are actually high-end, they're comparable. You don't see much difference. And it is up to you to pick the one that maybe check the light fastness, because some of them might not be as light fast, but it's very beautiful, rich type of red, and it's very creamy. Also, yeah, I just wanted to say that I would notice the difference between a professional paint and a student grade paint because of the transparency and the richness of the pigment, and the consistency also tells something. It is very different. The consistency of Cotmans and the professional watercolors is very different. You can see the difference there and feel it while you paint. But between professional brands, professional lines of watercolors from brands like, yeah, I'm not gonna name them again, but you don't see a lot of difference. Like once I think I compared ultramarine paint from 5 brands, like professional, and they looked identical next to each other, and then when you pick the student grade paint or a hobby paint, also in a shade similar to ultramarine, there was a big difference in how that paint performed on a page, but not between the professional brands. So I think that it comes down to, like, if you are struggling, you don't know what professional paint to pick, or like what brand, just pick the one that's cheapest and you can get locally if possible. So far so good. Very, very nice paints. The paint's gray. Forgive me, I'm not gonna swatch because I bought it by accident. I have it in my collection. I know what it looks like. It is this one. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, but let's do the neutral tint now. This is the neutral tint. They're filled with paint, these tubes. Okay, so the shade of their neutral tint is slightly different from what I'm used to, and I use the neutral tint from Daniel Smith, but I like this one. Is it possible that one neutral tint is cooler than the other? It was not supposed to be cool nor warm, but this one looks a little more on the gray side, like really gray, and the one that I use from Daniel Smith is different. It has like these violet undertones. Maybe I'm mistaken. I was so curious about this indigo. It's supposed to be light fast, and my Schminky version is not so light fast, which is why I was searching for a replacement. And I still love the one by Schminky, but more often than not I'm using it in my sketchbook rather than in paintings, and I want to do larger pieces, and sadly the shade is not quite what I wanted. Again, I'm probably gonna compare it in a separate video, but this is cooler, and I like the shade from the Schminky a bit more. Let's try the Prussian blue. That's another thing that I was very curious about. Prussian blue is a cooler type of blue. It inclines towards green a bit more. That one I like. I think it's comparable with the one that I already have. This one is Winsor blue. Let's check it out. This is supposed to be warmer blue. Yeah, the paper has my fingerprints all over it, which is why you shouldn't over touch your paper. I am indifferent about the Winsor blue for now. Recently I purchased the Phthalo Blue by Daniel Smith. I purchased the green shade and the red shade, and this one reminds me of the red shade. I won't be sure until I see it in a painting. Now here's Cobalt Turquoise. I know this paint, I've been using it before, and this is Aqua Green. By the way, the turquoise, it's an amazing color. I love to use it, but it's not so great for mixing as it is a paint that stands alone. Like, it looks beautiful when it is like it is, but it's so hard to keep it looking like this in a wet wash with wet in wet technique. I have been like having mixed feelings about this paint, but also I've made some paintings that I really liked. The dominant color in those was this one along with magenta. It also looks very interesting when you combine it with a color like the Winsor blue and then some warm color. It gets you interesting results. There is a place for this paint in my paintings, definitely. And I'm gonna have to experiment with it a little more to know like how to use it so that it doesn't turn out dull and really makes it really stands out the way it's supposed to. Okay, this is Aqua Green. I don't have a paint like this in my collection. This is something that I'm trying for the first time. It has like turquoise undertones, but it's something similar to Prussian green, I guess. Quite like it for what it is. It's an interesting shade. I don't think I have anything similar to this. I haven't been using anything similar to this, and I can't wait until I try it. It would look great next to something like the Winsor Red. Now let's try those 3 greens that I bought. Cobalt Green Deep. This is the typical green that I use in my paintings. Hello. Yes, I love this. This is just what I needed, and I think this is a paint that granulates, that also shows some granulation. The thing is, there is a gap between like when I'm ordering these things and when they arrive after 2 or 3 weeks. Then I can't remember what I ordered, why I ordered it. So I'm just exploring things here. And this is Permanent Sap Green. I don't like this color. It looks very cheap to me. I don't know. Usually try to mix colors so they don't look like this. This one really reminds me of the Cotman version of the sap green. It's like peace. It's the color of peace. I don't like it. And this is olive green. That's usually the type of green that I enjoy. It's the grayish type of green. Now this one is I don't know, not my favorite. Out of all those greens, these are the 2 favorites. Definitely the Cobalt Green Deep is something that I would like to explore right away in my paintings, as well as the Aqua Green. And out of these 2, the olive green maybe, but I have another olive green in my collection that I think looks slightly better. If you ask me what's wrong with that, I don't know, honestly. It's just something that some colors, they look mysterious and I want to use them in a painting, and some I just don't want to touch. I can't explain. It's probably just my taste. Don't take anything else from it. It doesn't reflect on the quality of the paint or anything. This one won. Yeah, I think that's the best find. So this is my new Winsor & Newton collection. I would like to test out the brushes some more. I still have some paint in here. So this is a pointed round brush, so it has a longer tip, and yeah, it can hold a lot of paint. It can hold a really lot of paint, and I find it very useful for painting leaves. It will be great for details too. But mostly I think these long brushes, they're supposed to be used when you need to paint something long on one stroke, because shorter brush cannot bear that much paint. Yeah, I'll see how I will make that work in a painting. And the rigger brush, that's for details. It's supposed to be for details and painting like straws, also long things. I'm gonna try to use that same technique. There's too much paint on the brush. Yeah, but mostly like really long brush stroke. Can hold a lot of paint. I'm gonna use this for painting hair and I don't know, maybe botanical studies. It's a nice one. I'm looking forward to testing these art supplies in a painting. What I have planned for June and for the Patreon and also for YouTube is to do like some loose flower studies. I hope that you found some value in this video. Let's use these together in a painting very soon, like very shortly. And until that time, have a great week and I'll see you. Bye!